As we proceed with our presentation, let's take a moment and just reflect on what we saw in the previous segment with all the detailed information about Nathan Dawley and the year of 1850. I think it's safe to say that farming may have been what attracted Nathan Dawley to leave his family in the state of Rhode Island and come to the state of Ohio and begin a whole new life there. Now, why that is a key thing to bring up, the next segment is going to catapult us into a new generation of Dawleys, literally the next generation of Dawleys. We're going to fast forward in time just 30 years to an 1880 census form. And there's going to be two census forms that are detailed in this segment that I really want to bring up. And the first one is going to be a household census form. And the reason why I like to bring this one up, I want you guys to scroll down and see that it is the head of the household is going to be Harrison Dawley, who we know is the son of Nathan. And the really unique thing about this for my family, I want you to look at this census form and you're going to see quite a number of people living under the roof of Harrison Dawley. But there's going to be one name you don't see, and that is our Grandpa Don. And that's because this census form done in 1880 was done before our Grandpa Don was born. So a little bit of a cool history into just before the birth of our Grandpa Don. But if you look at this census form, getting back to the assignment, what's really important about it is that we can see Harrison Dawley is listed as a farmer, and that even one of his sons is also listed as a farmer as occupation. So this furthermore shows that our family was brought to Ohio to own farm, work land, and we see here it continues on into the next generation. If you scroll down a little bit more, the second census form you're going to find is by far the most detailed agriculture census form I was able to discover in all of my researching. It is again, same year, 1880 agriculture census form, and when you look at it, Harrison Dawley is going to be on row 3, and this census form is actually going to include the next 4 images, and it is a wealth of information of what Harrison Dawley was doing and did do with his farm, from acres of land to farm value to sheep that he had to different crops of corn, all the way to sugar. I really highly suggest to all of my family members take a moment and just really appreciate this. It's just completely an amazing thing to think about our ancestors putting in that much work just in 1 year in farming. Now the other things, as we scroll down a little bit more, that I included in this segment are going to be some newspaper clippings. We have a road notice newspaper clipping from the year 1896, and it kind of sort of details a little bit about the wagon trail that ran through the Dawley property being made into a county road. As many of us know, in today's world, this is what we call Dawley Road. So it was pretty cool to find the newspaper clipping, because it details that this wagon trail runs or begins at the Dawley farm property. Once again, just reaffirming that we had a large property ownership of land that was farmed. And if you scroll down a little bit more, I was able to find a picture, provide a picture of Mary Dawley, which would be Harrison Dawley's wife, actually in a wagon with a horse on that wagon trail that we now believe to be Dawley Road. The other newspaper clippings included in this segment are going to be a newspaper clipping, I believe from 1901, about animal livestock that was lost on the farm due to wild dogs getting them. It just kind of shows one of the other struggles that they had, and in here you'll see a significant number of sheep that were killed or injured, and that's, when your livestock is taken from you, that's a very big deal. So another thing that maybe made farming a little bit more difficult for our forefathers. And then the possibly most significant piece of evidence in this section is going to be a newspaper clipping titled "That Sawmill Explosion." One thing that I've always heard about from my father and my grandpas was that we used to use the timber and lumber off the land and make money off of it. And I never got any significant true answer of how. We just knew that once upon a time somebody was able to get the lumber off the land and make money from it. Well, in this newspaper clipping, it details as a report of an explosion at a sawmill on the Dolly farm. Thankfully, if you read it, you'll see that they contacted a Mrs. Dolly on the farm, and she clarified that there are no injuries and no explosion. But again, this is a very important piece of information for our family history, because now we have a little bit of tangible proof that not only did we own all this land and farm it, we actually did some other things like having a sawmill on our property.